Are psychedelics a more efficient pathway to God than religion? Welcome to Philosopher's Corner. I'm John. Are psychedelics a more effective pathway to God than religion? I think this question has been with us for quite a while. I haven't heard anybody, I've heard some people talk about it, but like directly speaking, a lot of us have this question, I believe. And it's a question that American suburban teenagers have experimented with since like the advent of marijuana, LSD, and mushrooms being available to suburban people so whenever that started, maybe the 50s, because so many of our people, like American teens, but also around the world, but really like American high school teens dropping acid or eating mushrooms and meeting God and then coming back and going, oh yeah, I get it, after like one or two trips, is part of the fabric of American life. And I think part of the fabric of a lot of different nations' lives now, which is turned into really kind of a rite of passage for a lot of people. It's sort of a demarcation point for a lot of people. Like, oh, have you done mushrooms or acid or, similar psychedelic level? I mean, you can talk about DMT or ayahuasca or any other like truly psychedelic ones that open up your spiritual vision. And philosophically, there's always kind of been a question about, can one connect to God or become truly spiritual aside from using religion, especially organized religion, whichever organized religion it may be. That includes any of the major religions, Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, Rosicrucianism, just down the line, any, Satanism, any of these, any religious order that has rules and dogma and sort of attempts to affect your behavior, like in a group setting with codified rules, right? And which, philosophically speaking, when you look into most of the religious prophets who these religions were started after, they told their people not to do it, not to create organized power structures that were going to get in the way of just people being spiritual. Like that was always a mandate that proper religious figures have given out to their people, which is usually promptly ignored. So philosophically, the question is, can a human being sidestep all of these really essentially ancient power structures based on what boils down to spiritual instruction? In terms of the spheres of religion, it makes no difference who the religious icon is at the top of your particular religion, in terms of the fact that the effect is that there's a religious society built around them that has dogma and rules and orders that seem to be unnecessary. In terms of when you go back to those spiritual teachers' teachings, the teachings are just about self-activation to the person, right? And they give moral instruction and they give you their authority, whether they tell you that it's divine authority or experiential authority or self-awareness authority or universal frequency authority, however you want to discern, however they cite their authority. And then they explain how they arrived at where they got in the attempt to allow other human beings to absorb their wisdom and self-activate. And all of the instruction is about achieving self-awareness, some level of enlightenment, independent thought, free will, all of that. So the question that psychedelics brings in is, can you just do mushrooms and some acid and achieve all of the benefits, spiritually speaking, connection to God, source, the universal frequency, that also fills you with the energy of the universe, that also other religions reference, that also heals you, grows you, evolves you, makes you more compassionate, makes you a fuller human being, really activates your human experience to bring you into the body in a spiritual manner, like Jung talks about individuation, where your soul meshes with your body and you become the spiritual consciousness in the flesh, right? That merging. So can psychedelics bring you to that level, and you don't have to worry about joining any particular social body that provides spiritual instruction? I'd say on the face of the evidence that the answer is yes. That psychedelics can achieve that effect without having to have organized, codified corporations providing you the spiritual instruction. And I think when we look at human history and we look at all the yogis and all the mystics and all the shamans and all these people who never stepped foot in a church, a synagogue, a temple, any of it, and they all essentially got organically enlightened and connected to God, the universe. They're perfectly compassionate human beings. They're perfectly spiritually formed. You know, they know what's going on. They're enjoying their experience. They also recognize other spiritual beings for the caliber of being that they are, be it, you know, if Christ is God in the flesh and they see him, they go, that's God in the flesh. You know, if they see Buddha being the enlightened one, they go, that guy's the enlightened one. You know, if they see whoever, they see him for who they are, right? So them not being in the religion doesn't blind them to seeing the beauty and the glory and the proper spiritual rank of any particular other light being. Yet they have achieved it without having to follow in the trails of any of those particular light beings whose trails were codified into social instruction bodies, schools, organizations, structures, establishments, institutions, corporations, all those different things. And so the psychedelic organic path has been proven through human existence to work, and work repeatedly. And also, we don't have any records in our history books of tribes, psychedelic tribes, warring or doing large-scale territory takeovers to convince the other people to do mushrooms. That's not in the history books. So there's that. So the psychedelics don't contribute to an organized political power. That is a negative derivative of religious organizations, whether they, no matter how well intended or not, or how well they run it, the political power just accrues with bodies of people who stay together through time. That's just a formula that happens, which is also why the spiritual teachers of those religions, most of them, you know, they're just like, don't become a political organization, essentially, very explicitly. And so the psychedelics are immune. They're essentially immune from accruing political power in that sense, which also seems to make it a purer path for spiritual experiences, and also for philosophical mind openings and all sorts of other therapeutic, healing, and enlightening factors. So, I mean, now that I've talked out, it seems pretty clear. Yeah, psychedelics will get you there. Psychedelics will connect you to God, and you don't have to deal with all of the stuff you deal with religion. So it's got that going for it. Well, thanks for spending some time here at Philosopher Corner. I hope you found it helpful, and as always, have fun.